gamers, welcome back to another episode of the Cuddlepunk Podcast. I am your host, Veronica Vex, the dumbest girl alive. With me today, it is our first return to the show. Y'all remember this person from my third ever interview way back in early January 2022 when they had just dropped their second EP. Now they've not only released one of the best punk albums of last year, one of my top 5 albums of last year, they are also headlining the Metro this February. You can all go see them at the Metro. Tickets are still on sale right now. April from Pinksqueeze is here. April, how you doing today?
Hello, I'm so good. Thank you so much for having me on the show, Veronica.
Absolutely. Let's just start off with the Metro thing. Like, how did that whole thing come about? Because that's fucking huge for you guys.
I know it's like truly we feel just so lucky and excited to have this opportunity, but basically we were asked and we were like, hell yeah. So that's pretty much how it came together for us.
It's insane. It feels like everybody's like getting really big shows right now. You guys are doing this. Calico Loco's opening for fucking Laura Jane Grace. Cut
Two
Your
nights in
Losses
a
just
row.
2 nights in a row. Yeah, you guys need to get your Thursday tickets for that one because Friday already sold out. I'm already gonna be there. I'm already gonna be at Pinksqueeze too. And then Cut Your Losses was playing like the House of Blues in Cleveland like last month, and like
Yes.
it feels like it does it feel to you like everything that has been like put into the scene for like the last like 3 years is like starting to come together?
It does. I mean, it just feels so awesome to see people to see coming up together, which is kind of how it goes and how it should be. Nobody kind of comes up in a vacuum, at least from DIY scenes. Everybody comes up together. So it just feels so good. It also kind of makes me feel like I guess just like a little bit older because there's also this like wave of all of these like new bands coming in that are just like so awesome. But I guess it kind of it just takes me by surprise, like how quickly we get like aged in the scene as a band, if that makes sense.
I remember talking with Anna. It was at the Pronoun show that Truth or Consequences New Mexico was opening for. I remember finding out just how baby I am in the scene because Anna's the youngest of you guys and she's 26 and I'm 25 now.
Uh-huh.
It does, you do, like, even I am starting to feel like seeing like kids like freaking like I saw Bottom Bunk open for Rust Ring at Tomorrow Never Knows at G-Man, and I'm just like, God, I am getting very, very old very quickly, aren't I?
And this Metro show that we're playing is with a couple of really cool bands that are just like true teenagers. Like people that are
Jesus,
like,
no.
no, it's cool. It's really cool. And the when OK Cool played at Metro with Motel Breakfast, they were also playing with Neptune's Core, which is another teen band. So I think that Metro really likes putting teen bands on these local bills, which I think is just really cool. It's an all age show venue, so teens can actually come out. But what I really thought was cool about when Neptune's Core was playing, there was a bunch of teens there, but there was also this like legion of parents in the crowd, like so many parents, and I loved seeing that. So I hope that we get them as well at our Metro show.
I am very familiar with the kind of parent type crowd thing. I remember Okay, cool, you brought up them playing the Metro. I actually got to see Bridget play the Metro 5 years before that when she was in this cover band called Serendipity. They performed for Columbia College Chicago Biggest Mouth. So I got to see Bridget and Haley play the Metro before they were both in OK Cool. They're another
Oh,
band that's
good.
just exploding right now. Like they got the
Oh
audio
yeah.
tree thing and everything.
Yeah, no, they're amazing. They deserve every good thing.
Obviously it's not just them that's blowing up. You guys are going crazy. Last year's album, Be Gay Have Fun, once again my number 3 album of the entire year. It's perfect. I love everything about it. You
Thank you so
guys
much.
got Is that real that you guys got put on Apple Music's Best of Punk 2023?
Yeah.
That's insane.
I know that was nuts. And when we did the single release for I'm Thinking of Ending Things, they also featured that release on the Apple Music Punk page, like very high up. It was like, you know how they kind of have that featured section at the top of the genre page. It's like you swipe over like once and we were there, or twice or something. So that was amazing to see. That was definitely like the biggest like internet recognition I feel like we've had. But oh my gosh, what an honor to be included in Apple Music's best punk releases of the year. Like what? I really
You
don't even know how they found us.
you got to stop, like, all of y'all in the scene, I say this in every interview, you got to stop underselling yourselves. I swear to God. But
True.
like,
It's not good. It's we should be manifesting everything. So
you guys deserve it. You guys absolutely deserve it. I want to talk about the album real quick. I want to talk about, so when I interviewed you guys last, the only thing that you guys had out was that Chicago is a Lake Town EP. And
hmm
on that EP was Rainbow Hour, which
hmm
was one of my favorite songs of that year. You guys re-recorded that song for the album. You got the full band in there because when you guys released that EP, it was just you and Ava, and
hmm
then you have the new full band version with Logan and Anna on there.
hmm
What was the decision process behind having that be the song that you guys wanted to re-record for the record?
That one, I always had the vision of that song being very big and loud in a way that just wasn't achievable with just me and Ava. So I think we always knew we wanted to record that one. Um, and because that was, I think that's like really the only song from that EP that, we were still even performing at that time and kind of carrying with us. So we just really wanted it. And it was actually part of how I pushed for us to do a full length album because Ava's like, no, let's just do an EP, get it done quicker. And me and Anna were kind of campaigning, no, let's do a full length album. Anna uh, had a really good point of, oh, publications, a lot of them won't write about an EP. They'll only write about an album. So you can get a lot more press if you put out a full album. And then I was like, oh, well, we have this song and this song. We can re-record Rainbow Hour. We can re-record SGC because we also re-recorded Straight Girl Crush.
That's true.
Yep. So that was also part of it. Ava was like, okay, we have enough material. Let's do it. So I definitely had been waiting for the chance to re-record Rainbow Hour. I always thought that it could be closer to that original vision and ended up, of course, even like totally different from how I expected when Anna and Logan brought their input into it, like kind of the crux of like the rhythm in the chorus, the da 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 da. Like, that came from Logan, that wasn't me or
No,
Ava's
that was
idea.
it's way more like on the EP, it is way more just like straight indie thing, and then you get the
Mm-hmm.
two of them in there, and it just brings this like not quite Riot Girl, but like Riot Girl grungy, like kind of
Mm-hmm.
hole-ish type of thing that you've got going on there. It sounds fucking fantastic. But
Thank you so much.
it's really hard for me to pick a favorite song on the record because every single one of them like truly touches me in a different way. I spoke about this on my episode with Life Looks Good when we went over our top fives of the year. So much of I feel like there's a lot of queer music out there that and all of like a lot of it is so good, but a lot of it does kind of lean into the darker sides of being a queer person, which
Mm-hmm.
obviously is something that needs to be shared. What I love so much about the record Be Gay Have Fun is how much of it is a dedication to queer joy.
Yes,
How much of that was intentional going into the creation of the record?
it was very intentional. I feel like that was one of the biggest things that we were mindful of accomplishing in creating this record. I mean, we didn't have the name for it, Be Gay, Have Fun, until we were a little more underway in the process. So, we didn't go into it completely clear that that's what it was going to be about, but we knew that that was going to be a really important component of it. What was queer joy, mostly because I feel like that's a lot of the feedback that we have gotten at shows and that kind of thing is exactly like you said, like kind of providing that more joyful space and celebration. And it just felt really important to lean more deeply into that. So I'm really happy to hear it comes through, especially because it's it's not like every song on the record is like all positivity, like some of the songs are a little bit tougher emotionally, but we want queer joy to be the experience of listening to it. So I'm very happy to hear you say that that's what comes through.
Like it's not just in the like I know I get what you're saying like on the like on the lyrical side of things not everything has that like joyous side to it, but I would argue that even on like your more dour songs like I'm thinking of ending things or even Rainbow Hour, I think it comes through in the instrumentals where maybe less so in Rainbow Hour but definitely on I'm thinking of ending things like it's wistful but it's not dour, and I
Yeah.
think that's a really like interesting line that you guys are able to hit on that song.
Yeah. That's something that I'm thinking about a lot right now because I feel like I've been kind of leaning into some like darker thoughts and feelings I've been having in songwriting lately. But I've been finding myself like trying to really revise things.
Are we gonna
And
be getting Black Squeeze coming up? Are we getting the Pinksqueeze Goth album?
it's definitely like some emo stuff is coming for sure. But I'm really like trying to be very mindful of that right now, of like striking that balance of being like, it's okay to be sad and to be honest about that. But like I still want our music to be like a safe space for listeners, if you know what I mean by that. So like some of the things I've been mindful of is like, okay, I can say that I'm sad, but I'm not going to say anything like self-deprecating. Like I don't think that that is acceptable or like how I want to present. So definitely being really mindful of that and trying to continue to strike that balance.
I remember you saying that, like, letting the kids know that it is okay to be sad is something big. I remember we were talking about Rod Wave when his album came out last year, and how
Mm-hmm.
you were saying how much the kids are learning that it's like okay to be sad because of him. What got you into Rod Wave?
Mm. So actually, it has to do with my line of work, which
Okay,
yes, which I'm a little usually kind of private about. Like
I
when
understand completely.
yeah,
We could skip
but
this if you want to.
no, I'm thinking I'll talk about it. I'll talk
Okay,
about it. But this is here's the reason why I prefer to not share my last name. So I work as a music therapist. Like that's what my day job is. And I work with all sorts of people of different ages and going through all different things. So it just puts me in contact with a lot of music that I might not listen to otherwise. But like almost every teenager I've worked with in the past year or two, like Rod Wave is like one of their very favorite artists. So that's kind of how I got into to his music and was hearing it. And I was just really struck by how just vulnerable and sad it is and how the teens love it. um, there's some other artists that are similar, like Tusi. I don't know. Have you listened to Tusi?
I've listened to a couple of Tuesday songs. Yeah, no, he's
Similar,
cool.
yeah, and similarly, like heart on my sleeve. I'm sad, but it's cool. Um,
I think
and
Juice World and like XXXTentacion were like really like the two artists that like brought in that like it's okay to be sad kind of thing, and Post Malone to an extent. Like I don't want to give too much credit to X, obviously,
mhm.
but I kind of have to. Like those three people, like when you think of what you think of as emo rap right now, those are the three people that you tend to think about. And no, it really, I think those, like, whether or not it was the smoothest, I do think that they were able to bring that kind of thing to the forefront.
Right, is your earring like pop can tabs?
Yeah. My
That's
ear.
so
So
cute.
this one is, so there's a skull. A friend of mine gave this to me. There's a skull in between, but I put the monster tabs on there. And then this one is actually a vial earring from when we saw
Oh,
each other at the Jer show. Let's talk about that. That's a perfect transition.
Vile.
I'm wearing the vial earring right now. You guys housed Vile when they were in town for that Jer show. And I know that you guys also housed the Aquadolls for a while when they came in for Riot Fest. I don't think a lot of people know about like the kind of DIY thing of just like how bands housing other bands and everything, and just really how much like that sleeping on couches thing that everybody talks about. Like it's not a
Yes,
joke. Like you are
yes.
sleeping on a lot of floors. How do you like how do you start up with something like that, and like do you feel as though you've been able to like build a certain amount of trust with a lot of these bands that make them want to stay with you guys?
Mm, that is something that you're gonna have to talk to Ava about because it is her. She is amazing about it. And she will just reach out to bands and say, like, hey, we got a spot for you to stay and that kind of thing. And it makes a tremendous difference in meeting other bands and making connections with them. But that's really all Ava. She's been incredible with it. And it's so important because for us, whenever we tour, we are, staying at someone's house on the couch, on the floor, whatever, because it feels like as soon as you start taking out hotels or that kind of thing when you're on tour, you're just not making anything. Um, and it's just really, really hard to keep up with. And we've heard, from some of these bigger bands that are going on these big tours that it's just like an uphill battle to make any money when you're spending anything on housing, right? So having that connection of places to crash makes a huge difference. And it's, two sides of that coin. So I feel very, very grateful to Ava that she's so willing to host people so often, because that makes a big difference for us and what we have access to when we're on the road too. But that's what the music community is all about. Like that's where it really becomes community, is inviting each other into our homes and taking care of each other like that.
It's the most important thing in the world, is just building that connection with the
Mm-hmm.
other bands. And like we're all trying to get to the same place. We might as well build each other up while we're doing it. I want to talk about Vile for a second, because there's a lot of similarities between you guys and Vile. How did you end up meeting up
Wow,
with them?
what a compliment! I really appreciate that. Um, hmm. I feel like we knew them just from the internet, and
It's TikTok with Vile, isn't it? That was the same thing that Jer said.
yeah, probably. I'm not actually even sure. Um, but I think they were internet friends before they came to town. We saw them. We played at Stoop Fest last year in Michigan. That was the first time that, we got to see each other play in the same day and that kind of thing. They showed up for our set. It was really, really supportive, really, really sweet. I'm not sure how that connection happened. Again, if you want to talk about the connections, you got to get Ava on the show, because she is like a mastermind of like connecting with people and like maintaining good connections. She's
Those
phenomenal.
connections are why she's too busy to come on the show.
She's very busy.
She's a
Yeah.
busy girl. Her and I
She's
can
a
relate on that at
she
least.
is a powerhouse. Like I I would never be in a band that was doing all this if it wasn't for her. Like period. She does so I her initiation skills of just like getting shit done and making things happen is just so beyond what I ever could have done for myself. So, yep. So grateful to her.
Let's talk about your friendship with Ava for a second, because it was just the two of you in the band at the very beginning. How
Yep.
did you guys? I'm sure we talked about this in the other interview, but like, how did you guys end up meeting up and creating the band?
So I was new to Chicago and I was looking for like a roommate. Like one of my roommates was like leaving the lease early and whatever. So I posted on Chicago Queer Exchange on Facebook. Everyone's like, "Oh, here's
Shout out
me."
to Chicago Queer Exchange. They've saved my ass both of the times that I had to move in the last year.
Yes, yes. It's a really good resource.
It's the
Uh,
one reason why you should still have Facebook if you're gay and living in Chicago.
truly, truly. Yeah, so I posted on there. I was looking for a roommate and was just like, "Hey, here's a little bit about me." Because that's kind of what everybody does on there. And Ava was not looking for a roommate, but was like, "Oh my gosh, we have like so many very, very niche things in common based on what I had said about myself. So we got to meet up." When we meet up, we went to the Chicago diner to have a vegan meal, and we sat there and we were just like, "Oh my gosh, this," and we had so much in common, just crazy amount in common. And then at the end of the meal, both of us pull out a Tupperware that we have brought for our leftovers. Like it was just, we just knew that it was meant to be. So
If you are a girl and you go with another girl to the Chicago diner, you will either end up U-hauling or starting a band.
yes, so we decided to start a band, and I had told her that we were both musicians. I was like, I don't want to be in a band, and she's like, okay, let's do it. So that's really how it happened.
Let's introduce these fine individuals you got behind yourself. Let's introduce some more of the Cuddlepunk pets who we got behind us.
This is Ma'am, my
Hello,
daughter.
ma'am.
She's an absolute angel, as you can see. And then this is Mister. He's also an angel, but you know, a stinky angel, but an angel nonetheless.
There's no such
And
thing as a non-stinky angel cat. There's
that's
no
it.
all there is every cat has their little dark side and we love them for it.
But look at this. He is just a little sweetie boy right here.
He is such a sweetie boy at the moment. Yes, look at him.
And right now you see them like on the couch together, but not snuggling. but they do love each other and snuggle pretty much every day. And they
That's
do have
so
an
good.
Instagram if you're interested. It's called Ma'am and Mister, and I think it's very cute.
We love a pet Instagram. We really do. All right, we've I've held off on this a little bit because I want to hear you fangirl about this because we brought up the fact that you were helping the Aqua Dolls at Riot Fest. Backstage at Riot Fest, you got to meet somebody, didn't you? Didn't you, April? Let's talk about that. Who'd you get to meet?
I got to meet a lot of people. I got to meet a lot of cool people. But I think who you are talking about is one of my just lifelong icon, Tegan Quinn.
Tegan
Uh,
Quinn. Talk about your love of Tegan and Sarah and what it was like to meet Tegan.
oh my God. I'm like overwhelmed just even thinking about this. Sometimes I think about this, I'm like, was that a real moment in my life? Oh, Tegan and Sarah are just so, so, so important to me. I was first introduced to their music when I was in probably like the 10th grade. Um, their most recent album at that time was The Con. And my sister had put them on a playlist for me of a bunch of music that she was showing me. And like I didn't know I was gay yet, but I was like, I love them. I gotta listen to them. They're amazing. So The Con quickly became like one of my favorite albums of all time. I was just listening to it on repeat. And then of course, you know, you get the gateway, then you're following the Tegan and Sarah Tumblr accounts and looking at all the pictures of that, you know, the fan accounts or whatever. Anyway,
No, no, don't get your way out of this. Let's talk about the Tegan and Sarah Tumblr fan accounts. I want to know what. Tell me, April, did these make you discover anything possibly?
oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And you know, actually, and I had mentioned this to Tegan. I had tried to coherently say this to Tegan, but it's like I still have the clear memory of the moment where like I was in 11th grade and was driving. I had the Con CD in the car that my also closeted queer bestie had lent me. And I was like, oh, I was so close to figuring it out and coming up and not quite there and having problems with my boyfriend because of that. And I was listening to I Was Married from the Con, the first track. And I just like started crying at the line, like, I look into the mirror and look for evil that just does not exist there. I don't see what they see. Like all of that sentiment, it just like hit me. And I was like, oh my God. Yeah, no, that's me. I'm gay. So it was really their music that really helped me get myself all the way there with that understanding of myself. And then I was like, all right, let's fucking do this. And then that next year when I did my big hair chop for my I had super, super long hair, like as you would say, like horse girl hair, like down to my waist. And
You, April, a horse girl? I never would have guessed in my life.
I was not a horse girl, but I did have horse girl hair.
There we
But
go.
I like brought a picture of Sarah like to my hair appointment, was like, can I have this haircut? Um so yes, very, very important to me. Um and I just love their music so much. So definitely not only like helped me figure out I was gay, but also just musically a huge inspiration for me. And just seeing these queer people in music to look up to really meant a lot to me and is a huge, huge, huge reason why I'm even in a band now and was able to see that representation. So yes, so the fact that I got to meet one of them, like I really can't think of anybody else, like any other celebrity or musician, that it would mean more to me to have that opportunity to like meet and talk to and thank for their music. So, and we gave them our CD of Be Gay Have Fun. And
Let's
Tina was so
go.
nice about it. She was like, yeah, I'll definitely listen to this. And so just like being able to give my music to like my biggest inspiration in this world just meant so much to me. And then Tegan was just genuinely so nice, so kind. And I feel like that like part of my inner teen that was like fangirl to the max then is obviously still with me, even though I'm a grown adult now. Still, like me and Anna were like sweating for hours before meeting Tegan, just like trying to hype ourselves up for this. We were not being cool at all. We were
Is
being
that what the
embarrassed.
picture of you guys in the People of Riot Fest thing is? Is that you guys just like freaking like on stage, just like, oh my God, we're about to meet Tegan?
The one where me and Anna are like sitting on the back of a stage.
Yeah, you're just like sitting like on the bars, basically.
Yes. Yes, we were like creeping around waiting for our moment. Um
I'm gonna put the picture up right here. This is from the People of Riot Fest account, which I congratulated you guys on immediately because I saw you guys in the background of Aquadol's set and everything jamming out.
we were lurking that day. Like
Y'all were lurking that day. I do want to say I see you guys there, if not this year, but next year. Like that's gonna happen.
yes, you
You
heard it.
guys can't see this, but she crossed her fingers real quick. She's hoping for it. I believe it'll happen. I don't know. There's something in the air about this year. I don't know exactly what it is. Talking about queer music and love before we get into the bit part of everything. I discussed Rainbow Hour earlier, which I described as the best breakup track of last year on my I think it was on Instagram. You guys also put out what I think is just the purest best love song of last year. She Sees is fucking gorgeous. I adore that
So
fucking
much.
thing. I want to know about what, because I know you've said that Straight Girl Crush was about you like having a crush on your current partner. I imagine that She Sees is about the same person because y'all been together forever.
Yeah, and actually Rainbow Hour is about the same person too. And they were all written in the same like few months. So Rainbow Hour is a breakup song that wasn't actually about a breakup.
That's
it was
fucking sick. That's
it was
awesome.
it was just about me like projecting and being afraid of a breakup that didn't actually happen.
Been there. Been there.
Uh-huh.
That's so cool that you can like get all of those like feelings about the same person.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, I've written so many songs about Brady. I still am. I probably always will. But yeah, no, and those songs were written like probably just a few months apart from each other. Let's see, the order of those songs would have been Straight Girl Crush, and then She Sees, and then Rainbow Hour, I believe. And then U-Haul came later. But so there's kind of a
What
storm
a
there.
weird order for those songs to have all. How long have you been holding on to some of these songs for fucking BK Have Fun?
Long time. Long time. Because Straight Girl Crush and well, Straight Girl Crush is like the first complete song I ever like wrote like in my life. Um and I wrote that. Ava helped me write that too. Let's see. We wrote that in 20 like 18, like early 2018. And then it was like later that year that
2018 felt like 4 years anyway. That's a perfectly reasonable amount of time to write that many songs.
yeah, yeah. And I also just like lose my mind when I fall in love. I just like have so many thoughts and feelings about it. I have to write a million songs about it. So that's just that's on me. But no, She Sees, I just fell so hard for Brie, and she really like she had said something about the I've Just Seen a Face by the Beatles. Being like, oh, I would love if there was like a song like that written about me. And I just like had it in my mind. I was like, okay, I need to write something like as romantic as possible for her because she deserves it. And and that's kind of how that song came about. And it's interesting because it is just so specific, like so specifically about her, which is I think what makes it feel more universal because it's like so hyper specific that what you get out of it is more the feeling than the details, I guess. I'm not sure, but
No, that totally checks out. Like the like knowing all the birds on her street and everything and like the you love her, you love Chicago. Like it is you can like from the first second I heard that song, like I know that you've been dating Brie for a really long time, but also like I could have never known that and it would still like come across like this is a very specific person
mm-hmm.
that April loves more than anybody else on the entire planet. and
That's so
it's the
sweet.
cutest shit ever. We're talking about romantic love here. I love the romantic side of Pinksqueeze. There is one album that came out about 5 years ago now that was very romantic that not a lot of people like, but April and I do. When we
Yes.
come back, April from Pinksqueeze and I are going to debase ourselves and ruin our credibility with musical taste. We are going to defend Chance the Rapper's The Big Day. We'll be right back with more of the Cuddlepunk Podcast. Hello, gamers. A very comfy Cuddlepunk here, letting you know that today's episode, as always, is brought to you by the Cuddlepunk Podcast Patreon. Thank you so much to everybody who pledges to the Patreon each month. For $3 a month, you get your name in every single episode of the Cuddlepunk Podcast. I'm going to be better about that, I swear. And for $5 a month, you will get access to every episode of the Cuddlepunk Podcast one day early. Thank you so much to the current patrons, Julia Broman, Jack, Creighton Budress, Susan, and Gail Mack. And now, back to the episode. Welcome back to the Cuddlepunk Podcast. I am your host, Veronica Vex. We're here with April from Pinksqueeze. 5 years ago, 2019, Chance the Rapper releases his first studio album, The Big Day, and it is met with nothing but hate and viscera. It is an album that I personally have loved since the moment it came out. And through talking with April, I have found out that she is also a massive fan of the album. So
That's
what
so
we're
good.
going to do right now is we're just going to defend the album. We're not going to say that it's perfect, but we're going to say that it deserves more than the 0 that Fantano got it. I think we can both agree on that at the very least.
Yes, absolutely. It's a great album.
It's a great album. So I want to start off with, what was your like fandom level with Chance going into this record?
Mm. So what got me into Chance is my partner's like number one favorite artist, like celebrity crush and all that. So I really only got into him because of her, but I think he's wonderful. And it was more so before that, let's see. There was the Donnie Trumpet album that had like Sunday Candy and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah.
we would listen to. It was super good. And then I think it was before the big day that there was the singles like Workout and 65th and Ingleside and some of those singles at that time that came out that we were listening to a lot. I thought they were awesome.
I forgot about that singles run that he had going up into Big Day. Those are good songs. My relationship with Chance is I was late to him in terms of like I got in after Acid Rap and after 10 Days had already come out. I really got into him once Coloring Book had come out. Like
Mm-hmm.
once you started like seeing him everywhere, once he got all the Grammys and everything, that is when I really did get into him. But I fell very, very fucking hard in love with Chance. I do think Coloring Book is probably still his best, but my favorite song of his is off of 10 Days. And it leads into my first point about Chance that I think people are really like, that kind of disputes one of the points that I think people bring up about this album. My favorite Chance song of all time is Prom Night off of 10 Days. Chance was always corny.
Yeah, that's no surprise. He's a
It
sweetie.
should he's a sweet boy. I don't
Yeah.
understand like people like he's always had like corny bars. Like always had like a lot of what he's been doing has been getting by on charisma.
Mm.
And I don't think that that makes this album any different. I think maybe he's not as charismatic on this one, and that might be due to some of the content. But I don't know. I was never angered by Chance the way that so many people seem to be from his like demeanor on this record.
Right. It's like, what were you expecting? He's been talking about how much he loves this person and his music already.
He's made several entire songs about like all of the like steps that he had to take once he was unfaithful to her. And he very much is like dedicating himself to this person, which I have heard rumors that it hasn't necessarily gone as well for him as of late. But when this album came out, I want to judge him by the intentions that he had when that album came out, or at least that he was presenting. And I think that that works really well for him on that record. I think that another thing that, like, one thing that I can see people getting on Chance about for this record is people always say that this record is like way more religious and way more religious conservative than the rest of his stuff has been. I don't know where y'all have been. Like, he
Right.
had the
It's
Sunday service choir before fucking Kanye had put anything out with them.
mm-hmm. Oh, and I'll say the other favorite Chance content is the Christmas album, Merry Christmas
With
Lamont,
Jeremiah, yeah.
with Jeremiah, which also is religious too. For me, I have a complicated past with religion. So that was like almost kind of a turnoff for me. But I really appreciate the way that Chance approaches it and talks about it. A lot of times, like his messages about religion, I do find really healing, even if I don't approach it the same way or think about it the same way. I like how he talks about it, but I agree. It's not a surprise.
I don't think it's a surprise that he's like talking about like the conservatives, like the more conservative side of things, anyways, which like he's not going like I wouldn't say that he's going like full Republican or anything on this stuff. He's talking about, and I don't think he's like okay on maybe on Eternal he gets kind of preachy about like the side chick type thing, but I'm also not expecting him in 2019 to know what the fuck polyamory is.
You know, yeah, I was just listening to that today and I was like, yeah, that's probably my my only personal issue, but not
That
everybody
song
has to be
is that's
poly.
like the that song on that record is like Cheers Over Beers on Modern Baseball Sports. Like it's that one little thing where it's just like I don't know about that one, but
Uh-huh.
it's kind of it's his kind of like Weezery moment in a way.
But no, I think it's a very, very sweet album, and I don't get why people want to hate that so much.
The way that I compare it is like, are you a Ghost person? Like the band Ghost.
Oh, no.
So Ghost in 2022, they put out another album that like nobody really liked except for me. Yeah, it was Impera. That's an album where they also get like really like I heard people say that like this album is way cornier than any of the other ones or that it's way like more goofy and not as serious as the other ones, which like I get that like from Opus Eponymous to Meliora, they were like way more of a like legit metal band, like old school metal band. They were always like moving into like what my friend Ellie calls hair metal for goths. Like that it's the same kind of like I with Chance with this record I don't know what people were expecting if not this. I also don't think that like the instrumentals are very far off and I think yeah, they may have gone over with like the guest spots and everything. Like there are a lot
Like
of guests on this thing.
everybody is on this album.
Everybody's on this fucking thing. And a lot of them, like I probably personally would maybe not have put two Nicki verses on this thing. That's just me. I don't know if we needed the Randy Newman feature, but I think a lot of the other I think Megan on Handsome is great. Francis and the
Megan
Lights
is
on Big Day
so
is great.
good.
One that I was
Ben
not
Gibbard,
expecting to
I'm
love
like, let's go.
Ben Gibbard, exactly.
Yeah.
Ben Gibbard on Do You Remember? A lot of
Yes.
people fucking hate that track and don't understand why Ben's there. I think it works really well. Chance has always had that like indie rock side of him where he went to fucking Jones with Twin Peaks.
Yep, no, I love the Ben Gibbard feature. That was one where I listened to this the first time through. I was like, whoa, I wouldn't have expected them to ever collaborate, but it's cool.
That might have been the thing that got me into Death Cab, honestly. I don't think I was
Really?
that big of I was not I've never like been huge on Death Cab for
Oh,
Cutie. I saw 100 Gex instead of Death Cab for Cutie at Riot Fest this year. And then
Death
I saw
Cab.
ICP instead of Postal Service.
Death Cab is one of my like top favorite bands of my youth. So that's why I like the Ben Gibbard feature, of course. On
There's
Chance.
I've been getting more into them. Like Transatlanticism is obviously like just a perfect record all the way through.
Transatlanticism is my number one Death Cab album for sure. It's like
It's
that one and The Con. Chris Walla produced both of them kind of at the same time. I feel like those albums like shaped like what I think an album should be.
absolutely. And I think the feature works on that one. I think that like he's going for that like wistful melancholy like nostalgia side of things and I can't think of a better person to have that vibe come across than Ben Gibbard.
Yeah, it's a funny collaboration, but I'm here for it.
Ben's also just one of those people. One of the things that I could maybe see throwing people off is that like I think traditionally with like guest vocals on like hip hop songs, like it's more to service the song than do anything else. And it's not anything intentional on Ben's part. He just has one of those voices where you're like the second you hear it, even if it's like sped up or slowed down, you know it's Ben.
Mm-hmm.
Like Anita Velveeta had a song by Death Cab in one of the mixes on her Nightcore project from last year. And I don't think I had heard that song before, but just from hearing it once, I'm like, yeah, that's Ben. That's Ben if
Oh
I
yeah.
ever done heard him.
Yeah, very distinct voice.
The one thing that I will say, it's a long record.
It's
It's a
very
very
long,
long record.
but I like that about it. Like I'm only likely to put it on if I'm like got a serious like house cleaning project or like something like that.
It's a good walk album, I think. Like if you're like I'm the kind of person who I don't do it as much anymore, but when I lived in Lakeview, I there would be like a couple of times a summer where I would just walk from my place in Lakeview to the Loop
Hmm.
and just listen to like random songs throughout, and that is an album that I always found myself returning to on those long walks because it is one of those albums that I think it's not. I don't think you could. I think you do have to sit with it. I think people will crucify me for that, but I do think it's one that you have to sit with a little bit more than just
Yeah.
like putting it on and having it just be part of the vibe.
Yeah. But I think it's sweet and like I mean we were talking about this with my songwriting before, but I'm like lean into the over the top sweet. I mean I feel the same way. It's funny because so me and Chance actually have the same exact birthday, like the same day, the same year, everything. We're like universe twins. And
What's the birthday?
April 16th. So we're both Aries.
There it is. Yes, 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 yes. You are okay.
And
Yep, 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 yep.
I think that like I will declare my love to the world energy. I think I we both have that. And I think part of that is being not just Aries, but the same day.
Aries is my rising, so I feel that exact same thing too. What's your big three?
I am an Aries sun, Aquarius moon, and Leo rising.
Sag, Sun, Scorpio, Moon, Aries rising.
All right.
That is the reaction I always get. It's never good, and the best I will always get is all right.
I don't think it's bad. We both have double fire. You've got
Yeah.
some water to balance it, which is nice. I don't. I just have air, which I think just makes me like weird, but it's okay.
I've never heard somebody say I'm more balanced than them. That's a terrifying prospect.
Cheers.
Hell yeah. That religious side of things also comes across on your guys' record as
Mm,
well, and I feel like there is some chance influence in there with particularly Holy Critter. Like I've told you before, that song's gonna fucking save a kid.
that's very
100%.
nice. That's really, really sweet to say. Yeah, that it's I never expected that I period, but like especially with the band Pinksqueeze that we would have a song that would just like make people cry at our shows. But that one it always gets somebody, which is really powerful. But it's been really wonderful to hear that it does strike people so strongly. I think it's a really important thing to say. And that I think with like queer joy being like the overall thing that comes out from Be Gay Have Fun. Um, we had songs that we wanted to put in there that weren't exactly on that topic. But to balance it and really we were like, okay, we need a few songs that we are putting out an intentional message here. So that was one of them that me and Logan really wanted to talk specifically about
And I don't
trauma.
even think it negates the joy. Like that song, I think is like it does hurt now, but there is joy because
Yes.
it is about like you're going to find like the Amazing Grace thing at the end.
Mm-hmm.
I was a butch, but now I'm found by queer community. Like that is hopefully what we want to be able to happen to every queer kid that's out there. And it's I'm getting choked up now. Fuck you.
that's that's very, very sweet. Yeah, that song and that one, growing up religious and kind of being away from it now, like I still have a part of me that twinges when I sing this about like it being like kind of blasphemous to like change the words of something like Amazing Grace. But no, I feel really proud of how that one sounds and how it came out and the response we've gotten to it. So
We've gotten off the topic at chance at this point,
yes.
and we're probably gonna wrap it up at this point. But I want to say how proud I am of you guys and how thankful I've been to you guys. You guys were, like I said at the beginning, the like third band that I ever interviewed back when this was YouTube stuff, and I've said this to you guys before. You guys genuinely probably saved me for a while. Like Midday Midnight got me through some very, very dark times, and I
Well,
really do I can't thank you guys enough for being the friends that you've been to me and for how supportive you've been to the show. And I am going to be at the Metro. What date is that?
February 23rd, Friday.
Friday night, February 23rd at the Metro. You guys are going to need to be at this show. I'm going to be there. I'm going to be in the front row screaming along because I know all the words. April, thank you so much for being on this episode of the Cuddlepunk Podcast. Where can we find you guys?
You can find us on the internet at Pinksqueeze_music on Instagram, TikTok. If you're on Facebook, we love you too. Come find us there. You can stream our music anywhere that you stream music, Spotify, Apple Music, and please come see us at the Metro. It's going to be a fun time, and we're going to be performing a brand new song for you, never before heard. In fact, it's not entirely written yet, but we will be performing a new song at the Metro. So
that's not enough to get you guys to get there. I don't know what. You can find me at Veronica_Vext on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. I think Blue Sky still. Yes, I'm on Blue Sky now. You can find Cuddlepunk Podcast on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcast, Google Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, all of the places that you could possibly need to find your podcast. This will be available. The logo for the Cuddlepunk Podcast was done by Lauren Young. You could find her Instagram in the description down below. The theme song for the Cuddlepunk Podcast is Lose a Turn by Modify. You can find links to all of her stuff in the description below. Please go get your tickets to see Pinksqueeze at the Metro. Please check out the other videos that I've done with Pinksqueeze, the first interview that I did with them and the animated moms tier list that I did with them. Those are two of my favorite videos that I've ever done. April, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much, Veronica. This is such a pleasure, as always, to talk to you.